This week, the Trump administration lifted a ban on the importation of some trophies from animals hunted for sport. That includes elephant parts, despite statements from the president in November that such a practice is, quote, a horror show. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service says it will make determinations on whether to allow trophy imports on a case-by-case basis.
Here to tell us more about the new policy and what it means is Dr. Sanjayan, CEO of Conservation International. He is also the executive producer of the new virtual reality film, My Africa, which debuts at the Tribeca Film Festival next month. Sanjayan, good morning.
Good morning.
What does this mean case-by-case basis? What are the implications for the elephant population?
We actually don't know. I mean, that's the problem with this, right? There's more uncertainty. Just when we felt like we were making some real progress with ending the poaching, the large-scale poaching of elephants in Africa, just when China in January announced that it's banning its domestic market for ivory, this new factor comes in and creates uncertainty around how we manage elephant populations.
Let's talk about the risk to elephants, because they're in grave danger, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
How significant?
Well, so when I was a child, when I was in high school, there were probably about 1.2 million elephants in Africa. Today, there may be about 300,000. The Great Global Elephant Survey comes up with it. It's hard to know exactly. So the population has declined, and it's declined across the range.
Yep.
Some countries are doing well, and we're seeing the tide turn. The price of ivory has dramatically dropped from, $2,000 a kilo, 4 years ago to about $400 a kilo today.
Wow.
But just when this is happening, just when we have moral leadership on this issue, when the United States, when the UK, when now China can take some leadership on this issue, this new uncertainty has created a level of anxiety amongst people who really care about elephants.
The president called this kind of hunting a horror show.
And he was probably right.
And he has been sort of unstinting, at least publicly, in his criticism of it.
Yes.
Yet this is happening. We're back at this issue. Who's driving this?
I don't know. I mean, look, I was shocked by this, just as you were, because President Trump was crystal clear on this in November, not just tweeting, but publicly made statements after stories you did, and the New York Times did, and others. What was unusual about this new announcement, that there's some backtracking of this case-by-case allowing of trophy hunting for elephants to be brought back into this country. That announcement was made by Safari Club International, which in itself is a little unusual. We expect impartiality amongst our agencies like U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service that should be determined by science. So having a organization, private organization announce this is a bit unnerving.
Just for people who don't know, what is Safari Club International?
It's basically an organization that supports trophy hunting of and primarily big game species around the world.
And they were making the announcement on this.
That's how we learned about it.
Do we have any information on what the guidelines actually are going to be for these judgments and who's going to be essentially judging it?
No, we don't have any clear understanding of what these guidelines are going to be or how you're going to judge it. Now, understand that hunting has been used as a conservation tool. Frankly, I'm a hunter myself.
Right.
And in this country, hunting is used as a very strong conservation tool. Yes. But even in the United States, we don't hunt endangered species. Right. So if we don't hunt endangered species here, why do we think it's okay to hunt endangered species in Zambia or Zimbabwe when clearly the regulations are far more obscure?
What needs to be done to ensure the survival of elephants? What can ordinary Americans, people watching this show, do? How can people participate in ensuring their survival?
Well, look, don't buy anything that has ivory on it. That's simple. And it's illegal now, and it should be that way. And then get your voice heard. Make your voice heard. We want the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to have an open process where public can comment on this, a transparent process. President Trump has the opportunity right now to bring leaders around the table and continue to have the leadership the United States has had on this issue and really deal with the big problem of elephants, which is habitat loss and large-scale commercial poaching. I mean, this hunting issue is frankly a sideshow, and it's distracting attention away from what is really needed.
Very quickly, we mentioned your virtual reality film, My Africa. Tell us what it's about.
Oh, it's an amazing story, spoken from the perspective of Samburu communities, from a young woman's perspective of living with wildlife in northern Kenya. It's spectacular, everything from wildebeest crossing the Masai Mara to baby elephants, and it's opening at Tribeca. And the wonderful Lupita, the star of Black Panther, has lent her voice to it, and she did a great job.
Dr. Sanjayan, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you.